If you're selling anything in a bag, a pouch, I'm talking about snacks, coffee, cosmetics, herbs, this video is for you because choosing the wrong stand-up pouch material can not only kill your product for taste, shelf life, and customer satisfaction. Let's stop slipping here and let's get into it. First, by the end of the video, you'll know which material is going to save you money, no matter what you're selling. Which one screams premium, which one gives you sustainability points without compromising performance, and how to avoid common mistakes that cost people thousands. Let's get started. Number one, what are the needs of your products? Moisture sensitivity, oxygen sensitivity, UV and light protection, shelf life as in days, weeks, months. Do you need a particular type of branding or aesthetics, a natural look, glossy, printed, something really fancy with like a holographic design? Sustainability concerns, compostable, biodegradable, recyclable. All of this makes a huge difference when you're deciding which materials. So here's some good material information that you can follow. Plastic, nylon, Mylar, foil laminated films. All of these, PET, PE, foil, etc., are laminated to a barrier layer to protect from oxygen, moisture, light, and odor. Now, the pros here of the laminated material is its excellent barrier protection for moisture and odor. It's good for freshness, shelf life, and beyond. It's durable, can handle transportation, moisture, of course, rough conditions. Mylar films tend to be very strong, and they're great for printing. Sharp graphics, really bold, vibrant colors. Now, the cons, they are not that natural. Some consumers see plastic and have concerns. Now, there's environmental impact as well. Depending on the film, part of this may or may not be recyclable or compostable or biodegradable. Cost for this kind of material generally is higher. Special barrier films, foil laminates are more expensive. Think of use cases such as coffee, snacks, anything needed a high shelf life or exposed to moisture or oxygen. Another option is craft paper, with or without barrier layers. Now again, paper, usually that brown craft, often is laminated or combined with foil and plastic layers, which give it more barrier protection. That has that rustic, natural look. Now the pros, you've got the branding, you've got the appeal of natural, artisanal, eco-friendly look. It's very attractive if that's what your brand story is. It's also extremely lightweight, reduces shipping costs versus the heavy, rigid packaging. Now the cons, without a liner, paper or craft by itself is poor, resistant to moisture, oxygen, UV. If your product gets damp or wet or you need extended shelf life, you'll need an extended barrier. Now printing on paper also isn't nearly as vibrant as some of the other films. Now, here's the other key thing. When you add layers and liners to this, part of the issue you run into is a lot of people look at that as greenwashing or eco-credibility damaging, meaning, it looks like it's natural, but when you look at the layers and other things, it's just not, okay? So that's the other drawback you get into. But use cases for craft paper, dry goods, tea, coffee, snacks, and again, those that provide very moderate shelf life, okay? Another are biodegradable and compostable materials. Now, what are these? These are films or laminated structures designed to break down under specific conditions. Industrial composting, usually and sometimes home composting, often using bio-based and compostable polymers. Now, pros, of course, you've got the huge audience that wants the environmental protection. It's a great brand story, increases regulation love, if you will, when it comes to sustainability. Some of this material often can be designed with some very good barrier properties. Some biodegradable pouches, including layers, actually have a foil substrate. Foil is incredibly resistant or a great barrier property. The reason being is there's so little foil needed that a lot of the regulatory agencies deem foil, when it does break down, as 100% biodegradable, meaning you can still use foil in some of these biomaterials and have 100% satisfaction for regulatory, okay? Now again, some of the cons, of course, you run into pros and cons, but you know, they look nice and they can print fairly well, but of course, a little more expensive. Sometimes the oxygen barrier is not that great. You've got to be able to work around that, and the key thing is to work with a factory that understands your product, understands what you're trying to do, and design accordingly. Oftentimes in this space, companies do not share what they're trying to do, who their customer is, where they're shipping it to. Even if it's a certain retailer, that puts them in a very negative situation. If your supplier understands what you're trying to do, who the end customer is, the longevity or shelf life you're trying to attain, that's information that your supplier can use, okay? So the next part of this are the barrier properties, and these are just a couple of terms that you can just follow or file away. The oxygen transmission rate, how much oxygen actually gets through to the product. Water vapor transmission rate or moisture barrier. Again, how much moisture and humidity gets to the product. And aroma or odor barriers, again, when you're dealing with coffee or soap or some of these things that can be very fragrant, you want to make sure that there is a barrier that doesn't transfer to other products. Now, the cost versus benefit, what are you really paying for? Material-wise, of course, the base layer, the laminated materials, the plastic and the foil, and the printing, of course. Then you run into the other things such as zippers and handles and pour spouts or whatever it is, but those are the kind of things that tend to add up cost. Now, again, here's the key thing. If you go cheap on the barrier properties, you run the risk of your product going bad or rancid or stale and the customer's not coming back. So there's the trade-off. You've got to look at the cost and make sure you get the features that you need, whether it's recyclable, whether it's reclosability, whether it's a handle, pour spout, whatever is a convenience for the customer. But you also have to make sure you go head-to-head with what is the proper barrier you're going to need to protect the product, okay? So the key thing I want you to realize here is there's lots more to this than just clicking your fingers. The idea behind this is to give you some general information, thinking about packaging materials when it comes to stand-up pouches. You're going to hear me say it again. Reach out and lean on your supplier. The supplier themselves can help and guide you into the right material based on what you're looking to do, who your customer is, the retailer, etc. All too often, we've got companies that just think one size fits all, one material fits all, and it does not work. You end up losing in the long run. Do yourself a favor, work with a packaging professional that can help guide you along the way. There's a lot more to this, but you get a pretty good idea here of what needs to be done in different steps to make sure that you come out with the stand-up pouches, the printed packaging that is bold and vibrant, at the same time protects your product. I hope you like the video. If you do, please like it, please subscribe, and again, please share it with a friend. Thanks.